What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. We like to jump right into the content, so we're going to do that. Lots of injuries this last week, and we got a lot of names to go through. I like to keep these short for you. So we're starting off with Kenta Maeda. We kind of nailed this one last week. We had kind of talked about him struggling, and he had this groin injury this whole time, and we're hoping that maybe this groin injury could explain why he hasn't been pitching so well. So we had said that he's going against Biebs. I think it was on a Friday. If he pitches well, then he might be just fine. If he doesn't pitch well, I was betting he'd go on the DL for this groin, and they try to heal it up. And that's exactly what they're doing. This is actually good news for fantasy fans here, because I think that this will give him a chance to heal, and then maybe we'll see the production that we used to see prior to this groin injury. This could actually be the reason why he's been struggling, so potentially actually good news. Now we hit kind of the Mets block, if you will. I kind of feel bad for the Mets. Pete Alonso has this hand-wrist kind of injury. He ended up going on the DL for it. Unfortunately, not really an issue that you want to have for power hitters. We kind of talked about this last time. You don't want your hand-wrist area to be injured if your main source of offense is power, because usually wrist injuries take a while to heal, and then you do come back and you feel like you're healthy, but you are just lacking in that power category. So we'll see what actually happens with Pete Alonso when he comes back, if those power numbers really stay down. I think right now for the Mets, though, they would rather have Pete Alonso back, and they don't even care about the power numbers. They just need a hitter that doesn't look like a AAA hitter right now. Moving on to the next little block here, this is a lot of names all in one post here. Jeff McNeil and Michael Conforto, they have basically said that they think that their hamstrings are pretty severe, and they don't actually expect them until late June, which is a full-blown month away, which is really bad news. And they're saying that Carlos Carrasco could be out until at least late June, and potentially even further than that into July. So we kind of knew with Carrasco that it would take a little bit longer, but these hamstrings for McNeil and Conforto is horrible news. That's as bad as it gets for the Mets. Like I said, right now, their offense looks like a AAA team out there. It's really, really frustrating and struggle bus big time. It's hard to watch, honestly. They need these guys back, and it sounds like they're not coming back anytime soon. Sticking with the Mets here. The good news, finally some good news, is that Noah Syndergaard seems like he's actually coming back faster than we expected him to. They're hoping that early June is kind of when he could come back, and he's already in rehab starts here. Yeah, it's high A, so don't look too much into the success here. But the fact that they're getting him back is huge. They absolutely need anybody, not anybody, but yeah, anybody as well that they can get to come back. They need bodies, and Noah's a good one to have. And he's coming back sooner than he was expected, so that's great. Bad news for San Diego here as we move on finally to the next team. Trent Grisham is going back on the DL. Luckily, it's not for that hamstring that was bothering him earlier in the season. This is some kind of foot contusion. We've had a lot of weird foot contusions or wrist contusions that some of them lead to absolutely nothing, and others you're sitting there going like, why are you on the IL? And then like Bellinger had broken his bone with a contusion, and Rendon had nothing. It was just a contusion. So really weird injury this year. Haven't really seen him like this before, but it sounds like he's just going to stay the minimum on the IL. Like I said, this is probably super swollen foot, and it probably just hurts to run. So they're just going to give him a little bit of a break. More concerning for me here is Manny Machado. Yes, they're saying this is good news because he hasn't been put on the IL yet, but he's missed 4 straight games with a shoulder injury, and it's kind of unknown to a degree of what's actually going on here. They have not put him on the IL, so I guess the hope is that he would return in this series. If they do put him on the IL, I assume that it would be retroactive and it would be the very minimum. But none of that has happened yet, so it could be worse than that. I fear the unknown with Manny right now. And San Diego has been playing well without him, but they need him in the lineup, especially if Trent Grisham is going to be out. One that kind of flew under my radar a little bit is Kevin Biggio. Apparently, he went on the IL with a neck injury, and it sounds not good. Like cervical spine ligament sprain. Okay, I don't know a whole lot about the whole neck and spine area. I know more about joints and the knees and elbows and all that fun stuff. But this sounds brutal. They even kind of allude to it more. This sounds more serious than just a normal injury. I don't know if this is one of these, like, I hope to see him again this year, but they have no timetable at all for his return, and that's a bit scary, and that's obviously not good for Toronto, who's also lacking George Springer. I want to see this lineup fully healthy and see what they can do, but I guess I'm not going to get that, and I might not get that this year at all with this injury. Some, I guess, better news, maybe not for fantasy purposes though. Luzardo, who broke his hand hitting a table after getting frustrated playing a video game, is now coming back, and that's serious. Is now coming back, but they're talking about putting him in the relief role in order to get him kind of stretched out again to get back into the starting role. Not really what we want to hear for fantasy purposes. We're kind of hoping that you would just come back and be ready to go. So it's kind of frustrating, not only the injury, but it's kind of frustrating at the return. Though he is returning, it is progressing. We kind of wanted to see him get in and start right away, but it sounds like that's not going to happen. Bad news for Seattle. I know Seattle doesn't have the greatest of squads right now. They're in 2023. I think they're going to be flipping amazing. But this really, Kendall Graveman going on the IL for COVID here, really is good for all of Seattle's bullpen outside of Graveman, because to me, Graveman is the guy who's going to absolutely start taking that Colza role. And now all of a sudden, it's not so clear anymore. COVID has kind of a weird effect on different people, obviously, as we all know. So we'll have to see. Hopefully, Graveman's fine, first of all. He has been lights out. I fully expect him to be fine, and eventually I fully expect him to take a closer role, but this does not help his situation. Miles Mikolas. This is a guy that you kind of feel bad for, just even if you're not a St. Louis fan, even if you hate St. Louis, you have to feel for this guy. Had shoulder issues all of 2020, really didn't pitch, and then he comes back in his debut. He now has forearm tightness, which, if you've watched any of these injury reports before, you know that injury tightness for me is almost essentially a death sentence, and Tommy John will be required. Now, they haven't come out and said that yet, but to me, looking at this, if you come out of a game for forearm tightness, to me, you're staring Tommy John down the barrel here. We'll see what happens. I'll try to keep this one updated for Friday. A bit of a blow to St. Louis. He hasn't been the kind of guy he was like 2-3 years ago, but you kind of want this arm, available to you. So it's a bit of a blow for St. Louis, if you ask me. Victor Robles here goes on the IL for a right ankle sprain. Um, Sometimes these are absolutely brutal, and you're out way longer than you should be. Another times it's totally fine. Now for Washington and for Robles, really, he has not been able to like capitalize on his potential. I really hope he does, because I know he can be a good player. He was an absolute top prospect, and now he's he's only 24. He's hitting basically 250, no home runs, a few bags. So it's kind of one of these like, man, is it going to kill Washington right now? Not really. But I need Robles to be better than this. I think this is the last one, actually, and I'll check just to make sure. But Brian Anderson comes out with left shoulder soreness. This is a blow to Miami. I'm sure he's owned in most fantasy leagues, but coming out of the game for an injury that was kind of like during a slide, like it sounds like is what happened here. It's not usually that great. They think he's going to be on for the minimum, but they have absolutely no information on this. So talking about, oh, I think he'll be out for this long, despite the fact that we know nothing about the injury, isn't really all that great of analysis. So I'm gonna wait and see on Brian Anderson, because usually an inaction play like this does not usually end that well. But we'll see how it goes. See, I'm glad I kept going, because it's not the last one. Kikuchi came out last night with a cramping in the lower back. He has been kind of hit and miss. He struck out 11 Dodgers, and then he came out and was kind of flopped the next start a little bit. So he's kind of a tough one to peg right now. He's been a good streaming option for a lot of people, but it sounds like with the lower back, like Sonny Gray had a lower back, and it kept him out a month. So we'll have to monitor. We'll have to see what happens in the next few days. And now I think that's still not the last one. Dang, guys, I got a lot of names on this one. This one should have been higher on the list here. Reyes has been an absolute masher. I love to watch this guy hit. He's kind of a bright spot in Cleveland's bleak kind of offense. It's like Jose Ramirez and Reyes. Oh, I got them out. Okay, I'm good for 2-3 innings. Kind of like the Angels. I guess the Angels the way they used to be. It's like, oh, we got Trout out. Okay, we're good for 3 innings. But not a good injury for a guy who likes to hit for power. Oblique strain is brutal. They're saying 5 to 7 weeks. I think it's probably going to be a little bit more than that, honestly. Now, he doesn't necessarily have to get into fielder shape necessarily. He needs to hit, but this is like a hitter's injury. This is not what you want for your hitters. So, not great news for Cleveland at all, if you ask me. Their offense takes a pretty significant hit with this, and that's kind of sad, but it is what it is. And, okay, that's got to be the last one. And apparently that is not. Man, okay. I got 2 more. Wow, okay. But these are good news, guys. So we'll just knock these out really quick. Brian Hayes is on his way back. He had the wrist injury. Don't like wrist injuries at all, especially for a guy who's young and upcoming. I don't expect him to hit for as much power as he did for probably half the season here. All-Star break after, I expect him to absolutely explode. Cody Ballinger is on his way back again. 7 to 8 days, this said, but this was also 3 days ago. So he should be back probably by this weekend. That's exciting for the Dodgers. They desperately need him. Though they have played better, with Seager out, they need Bellinger. All right, that's it. Officially done. All right, hit the button. Next time, we'll see you guys.